Krishna. Hmm. Okay. This is the Advent, and we're going to offer the dedication to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, my eternal spiritual master, who delivered the merciful teachings of the Vaishnava Acharyas to the suffering world. I pray that He may be a little pleased with this attempt to glorify Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Bhaktivedanta. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Shri Bhashavani Devi Dayitaya Krupabdeye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayine Prabhave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to Shri Vashabhanavi Devi Dayita Dasa, another name of Shri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is favored by Srimati Radharani and who is the ocean of transcendental mercy and the deliverer of the science of Krishna. Madhuro Ujjwala Premadya Shri Rupanaga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Sakti Vigrahe Namastate. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, the personified energy of Shri Chaitanya's mercy, who delivered devotional service which is enriched with conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, coming exactly in the line of revelation of Srila Rupa Goswami. Namaste Gauravani Shrimutaya Dinatharine, Rupanuga Viridapa Siddhanta Dvantaharine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who are the personified teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and you are the deliverer of the fallen souls. I have not heard any statement which is against the teachings of devotional service enunciated by Srila Rupa Goswami. So this will be our prayers every day. Hare Krishna. Sanatan Prem Prabhu also join. So whenever you are available to read, just please interrupt me or raise your hand or something like that, or maybe interrupt me if I don't. So
Yes,
that
Prabhu, no, we don't interrupt you. You tell us when you want me to read, Prabhu.
okay, then start off, Prabhu. Then Advent.
Oh, Prabhu, okay. That was quick. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Sri Prabhupada. On the fifth day of the black lunar fortnight of the month of Govinda, corresponding to the February 6, 1874 AD by the Western calendar, at 3:30 in the afternoon, Bimal Prasad Datta, later to be known as Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, made his appearance in the Purushottam Kshetra, now Jagannath Puri, in the state of Orissa, not far from the temple of Lord Jagannath. He was the fourth son
You lost it, Prabhu.
of He was the fourth son of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Sriyakud Bhaktivati Devi. And at the time of Bhagwati Devi. And at the time of his birth, all 32 bodily symptoms of Mahapurusha, a great personality, were pointed out by an experienced astrologer. Furthermore, the boy was born with his umbilical cord wrapped around his neck like a Brahmin's thread. The astrologer commented at his birth, I have done many horoscopes in my life, but I have never before seen such a horoscope filled with all the sign of great personality. This child will become world famous as a brilliant teacher of life's ultimate goal. When child was 6 months old, Lord Jagannath's Yatra festival was in possession, and the cart stopped in front of Sri Bhakti Vinod Thakur's home for 3 days. Following the instruction of Sri Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhagwati Devi brought the child before the cart and offer garland fell from the neck of the Lord, encircling the boy. This was taken as a sign of special favor by all present. The grain ceremony was observed on the cart at this time and was done with Jagannath Prasad. When the boy's vocational inclination was tested, he immediately embraced Srimad Bhagavatam, in indicating his future as a preacher. Therefore, from the very beginning of his appearance, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur exhibited all the signs of an exalted eternal associate of the Lord, who had descended in answer to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's present for a ray of Vishnu to help him spread the Krishna conscious movement. Although family lineage may be ultimately irrelevant when considering the appearance of an eternally liberated associate of the Lord, still it is interesting to see what sort of family is blessed with such a transcendental personality. As history shows us, Lord Brahma himself appeared in the family of Muslim as Srila Haridas Thakur. And there are other instances of exalted persons taking birth in humble families. Still, as a point of interest, we may hear something of the lineage of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. His family line traces back to Lord Brahma from the descendant of Chitragupt, and they are known as the Brahma Kayasthas. Bharata is in the 87th generation from Chitragupt. Bharadwaj is the 88th. After him came Angira, and after him appeared Brahaspati. In the 149th generation of descendant, Purushottama, son of Sivadat, went to Bengal upon the summon of the king of Bengal, Adisura. Purushottama's youngest son took sannyasa and became famous as Kanaka Dandi. In the 7th and 8th generations of Purushottama's family, Vinayaka and his son Narayana Datta both did ministerial work for the king of Bengal. In the 15th generation from Purushottama, Raja Krishnanand, the king of Keturi in Bengal and the father of Sri Narottam Das Thakur, the great Vaishnava Acharya, appeared. Raja Krishnanand was also a great devotee and was personally favored by Lord Nityananda Prabhu. The 7th generation from Raja Krishnanand saw the appearance of Madan Mohan Datta, who was very famous in Bengal and Calcutta for his spiritual qualities. His great grandson was Ananda Chandra Datta, and his son was Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, whose fourth son was Bimal Prasad. The name Bimala or Sri Bimala Devi refers to the Parasakti, internal potency of the Lord Jagannath. So his name literally name the mercy of eternal potency of Lord. Bimala Prasad stayed in Jagannath Puri for 10 months after his appearance and then journeyed to Bengal by palanquin on his mother's lap. He grew up in his early years in Ranagata in the district of Naida near about hearing about Krishna from his mother. When he was a small boy, perhaps 2 or 3 year old, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur brought some ripe mango from the market. Bimal Prasad took one to eat, saying, "This is mine." Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur got up and said in a grave voice, "What is this? New fruit has come into the house? It has not been offered to Giridhari and you have taken it first? Remember, new fruit is to be given first to the Lord. Without giving the fruit said to the Lord, nothing is to be taken." The child was very repentant and exclaimed, Oh, what evil thought I have had! Throughout my whole life I shall not eat this again. This is the right punishment for one ruled by greed. He made the promise and observed it throughout his whole life. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada comments on this incident. Whenever we offered him mango, he said, "No, I am an offender. I cannot take mango." He was thinking that I have offended Krishna in my childhood by taking the mango of the deity. So, this is the characteristic of the Acharya. They teach by their life action. One should be so much determined. A child took the mango, there is no offense, but he took that vow. Should I continue, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Or you want to take a break?
No, no, I can continue, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Both my son are listening. So
Hmm.
when
They say
Bimal
next
Prasad,
next is their turn.
when Bimal Prasad was 7 year old, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur was constructing the Bhakti Bhavan in Calcutta at Ram Bagana. During that construction, a deity of Lord Krishna was unearthed. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ordered his son to begin regular worship of that deity. From the very beginning, the boy used to hear the preaching of his father with rapt attention. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, as well as his audience, were amazed to see how a small boy could hear the topic of Krishna consciousness with such total absorption. By the age of 7, he had committed the entire Bhagavad Gita to memory and could wonderfully explain the verses as well. Later on, he was trained in publishing and proofreading at Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's printing press in connection with Thakur's well known spiritual journal, the Sanjana Tosani. At the age of 11, Bimal Prasad toured the various places of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leelas with his father. Bimal Prasad had an eidetic memory. Whatever he would read once, he could later recall with perfect clarity. He was trained in mathematics and astrology at the Sri Rampura school, and he achieved such astounding scholarship that he was eventually awarded the title Siddhanta Saraswati by his tutor, Pandit Mahesh Chandra Charumani and Pandit Sundarlal. During this period, he used to attend the Sunday weekly meeting of Thakura Bhaktivinod's Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha, and hear the Thakura lecture on the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu of Sri Rupa Goswami. He was never known to study his school assignment, and while sitting at home would replace those assignments with studies of Sri Narottam Das Thakur's Pratna, Prem Bhakti, Chandrika, and other devotional literatures. However, whatever question he was asked by his teacher, he would immediately answer, and he got excellent results on all of his examination. He used to debate everyone he met on all sort of subjects. No one who argued with him was ever able to defeat him. Just as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had defeated a great scholar Kesava Kashmiri at young age, so similarly Bimal Prasad once during his later college days debated a scholar named Panchanana Sachitacharya, the disciple of Vasudev Sastri, a very famous professor of that time on topic of astrological calculation. The debate was held in the home of Sri Rajendra Chandra Sastri and judged by him as well. After some discussion, the scholar had to accept defeat. In fact, the scholar became so mortified that he could not check the cause of natures. After, after that, everyone was reluctant to debate him for fear of being defeated. At the age of 11, while in the fifth class, Bimal Prasad invented a type of shorthand writing called Bicanto, and it was during this special period that he took a tour of places with his father. When the boy was in the seventh class, equivalent to today's eighth class, and about 13 years old, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur brought tulsi beads for his son from Jagannath Puri and gave him the name of Hari and a Nasima mantra to chant, which he executed very faithfully, along with the worship of his Kurma deity, according to the instruction of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. At the age of 16, while his schooling continued, the books of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur formed the serious content of his studies. He also began writing books on astrology, and during this time he formed the Chira Kumara
Sabha, Chirakumar.
Assembly
Mhm.
Sabha, or the August Assembly amongst his friends with whom he met regularly at Calcutta's Bedouin Square. There they used to discuss topics related to religion, and the members were required to take a vow of celibacy. The society was formed with the purpose of giving people a chance to remain seriously engaged in worship of Lord and detached from family life. But Vimal Prasad was the only one who observed his vows immaculately. In 1892, at the age of 18, he took an entrance examination and entered Calcutta Sanskrit College. As before, he paid scant attention to the prescribed books, but he found the time to read all of the philosophical books contained in the library. During his college holidays, he would discuss the Vedas with the scholars Suryakant Prithvi Vidya Sarma. Although Siddhanta Saraswati had become learned in all six branches of Vedic knowledge, Siksha, pronunciation, Kalpa, sequence of Vedic sacrifice, Vyakarana, grammar, especially the use of word roots, if inflected words and sentence. Nirukta, meaning of inflected words and words roots. Chandaha, recitation of Vedic mantras, and Jyotisaha, astrological and astronomical calculation. Still, to study the Vyakarana, the grammatical branches of the Vedas, he approached the Pandit Prithvi Vidraha Sarma. The Pandit praised him for his achievement and encouraged him to study the Siddhanta Kumudini throughout his life. Siddhanta Saraswati replied, "My life is for the single-minded cultivation of teaching of Sri Chaitanya, not for the cultivation of grammar. I have only studied the Vedas, the branches of the Vedas, and their related parts in a secondary manner." In 1985, he left the college as he was very eager to execute his worship of the Lord and to remain free from pressure to enter family life. He stated in his autobiography, "If I remain studying with careful attention at the college, then extreme pressure will be brought upon me to enter family life. But if I am considered to be foolish and inefficient, then no one will put such an incumbent upon me for becoming so engaged." By this consideration, I felt that Sanskrit college, and in order to maintain my life for the service of Hari, I was desirous of getting an honest occupation, which I could perform with the intention of earning a humble income. During his student's day, he also wrote essays on spiritual topic for various magazines and strongly commended various religious malpractice which had become prominent in society. At the Bhakti Bhavan in 1897, he established Chaturpaspati, a small academy called Saraswati Chaturspati, where many learned persons from Calcutta attended his lecture and discourse on astronomy. He also published the magazines Jyotir Vid and Viharspati and other astrological texts like the Surya Siddhanta, a famous and highly regarded Sanskrit astronomical treatise. Here he also established and edited the Bhakti Panjika and Almanac. He was well acquainted with both the eastern and western branches of astrology, but naturally favored the Vedic one. He was offered a chair in astronomy at the University of Calcutta by Sri Asutosh Mukherjee, but Siddhanta Saraswati declined it, thinking it an impediment to his spiritual life. At the request of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, he composed the Sri Navdipa Panjika, a Krishnized almanac in which the months, lunar fortnight, days, lunar days, stars, etc. were all given names of Vishnu. He did not spend very long in his astronomical pursuit, however, and soon dedicated himself fully to the worship and distribution of the teaching of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was also employed by the royal kings of Tripura from 1995 to 1905 in various services. Initially, he accepted the post of editor under Pancha, Panchasrika Maharaj, Virachandra Mainakya Bahadur, and he edited a history of their family entitled Raj Ratnakar. During this time, he studied the Maharaja depart. Sorry, during this time he studied all of the principal books in the royal library. A year later, however, the Maharaja departed from this world. The succeeding kings, Maharaja Radhakishore Manikya Bahadur, entrusted Siddhanta Saraswati with the instruction of the son of the king in Bengali and Sanskrit. The kings also requested him to put an end of various cheating activities of persons who were misappropriating royal wealth. Siddhanta Saraswati quickly stopped this nonsense, much to the delight of the king. He assisted the royal family in different ways until 1905. At the time, he requested to be given leave, and this was granted, although with a full pension, which he accepted for some time and then later discarded. During this 10-year period, many other significant events took place as well. In 1897, he began to strictly observe the vows of Chaturmasya, including the practice of cooking for himself, one preparation daily, taking the food from the ground and lying on the earth without any bedding or pillow. In 1898, he toured Banaras, Prayaga, and Gaya with Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur and discussed philosophy with persons in the line of Sri Ramanacharya. In 1899, Siddhanta Saraswati published a number of articles on spiritual topic in the magazine called Nivedana, a Calcutta weekly.
Hmm. Shall
Okay,
we
Prabhu.
hold here and you want to share your experience or highlight, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Definitely, Prabhu. I started with the time where they were talking about different signs that appeared to this astrologer, which was kind of indicating that this personality is not a normal human being, you know.
Hmm.
So definitely, all the different things that he was born with, and then a lot of things that we read during this particular chapter tells that definitely a lot of different things that he was able to achieve and accomplish definitely would not have been possible for
For a
ordinary
normal
human being,
person.
normal
Hmm.
person. So means definitely I have heard about it. This is the first time I read in so much
Hmm.
detail. So
Hmm.
now I understand why Srila Prabhupada and other great personality used to speak so highly of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in this way,
So nice.
Definitely. And learning all the Vedas and
Uh,
Bhagavad Gita sloka, and at the age of 11 is definitely, I can't even learn one sloka at the age of 47. So, you know, I can't even pronounce Sanskrit, So definitely,
such
for
a
me,
sheer
he was
memory.
always such an exalted personality, But reading all this makes me even feel more respect and towards
Mm,
him and everything he did, and I feel very definitely proud to be joining the parampara that he so
mm,
nicely led during his time and even after his departure. So definitely a lot of things that can be learned from this.
yeah, very
And it is
fortunate.
also very good that we are doing this, because
Mm,
not many people will know all those things, and sometimes we may not be able to clearly understand and maybe even represent our movement, or
yeah,
our acharyas very well, So it was, thank you, Prabhu, and
yeah,
what a
it's our
thing.
Premanand Mata's desire.
Yes,
So
yes.
we're fortunate to be uh,
Yes,
engaged.
history is very important, especially about all of acharya.
Yeah.
So definitely, it was very inspiring to read this particular chapter and what you were sharing, and looking forward to joining every day if possible.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. And your boy wanna take anything? Are they in a mood? No force on them, but if they want to.
Vanikes, you want to say something? You are listening? You say something? No? Okay. Yes, I. But
But yeah. And thank you, all the devotees who have joined. We've just finished the chapter on the education, and then before that, the chapter was about Advent. So finished two chapters. This chapter is about initiation. So please feel free to unmute yourself, raise your hand. I mean, actually, interrupt if you're available to read, because otherwise, we don't know who is available, if whose situation is not available to have the ability to read or not. Okay, so please join in. I'm gonna continue until someone interrupts me. Initiation. Siddhanta Saraswati had been engaged in regularly chanting the Mahamantra and the Narsima mantra given to him by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur when he was in the seventh class, and he had been worshipping the Kurma deity discovered in laying the foundation of Bhakti Bhavan in Calcutta since the age of 7. Without fail, he had been executing that worship and chanting since his boyhood, and from 1985 onward, he had received a special training in printing, editing, etc. at the press at the Bhakti Bhavan. Thus, the young man was very qualified candidate for becoming the disciple of a guru. Many pseudo-gurus, mantra paddlers of the Sahajiya category, wanted to have him as their disciple to increase their false prestige. After all, Siddhartha Saraswati was a magistrate's son, and he was a strict enunciate from birth. He was learned and deeply attached to the scriptures. But Siddhartha Saraswati was not interested in such pretenders. In 1898, after Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had constructed his residence in Navadvip Dhama at Godrumadvipa and called it Swananda Sukhada Kunj, and sometime after the discovery of Lord Chaitanya's birthsite by the Thapura and Sri Jagannath Das Babaji, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj arrived in Navadvip Dham to see the site of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birth and to hear the discourse of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. When he arrived, he was singing in ecstasy. His only possession was a tulsi mala which he wore around his neck, and another set he kept in his hand for counting. He kept a few books such as Narottam Das Thakura's works, Pratana and Prema Bhakti Chandrika. So Gaurkisha Das Babaji had been performing bhajana for many years in Vrindavan. He was extremely renounced and the disciple of Bhagavad Das Babaji, the disciple of Jagannath Das Babaji. He was not well educated and had been a grain merchant in his previous existence. But it was widely known that he was liberated from Hamsa of the highest caliber in the area of Rajmandala. So at the time of his arrival, he was wearing a cap made of tiger skin and was carrying a basket of various items and materials for his service. He spotted Siddhant Saraswati and offered him 4 or 5 pieces of knotted rope for chanting rounds, a tilaka stamp with the initials for Hare Krishna, the tiger skin cap and paraphernalia for worship. Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj had received the basket and cap from his spiritual master Bhagavad Das Babaji. Siddhant Saraswati was very attracted to Gaurkishore Das Babaji's lotus feet at first sight. He was later uh, he was later to comment with great humility. I have been busy within this material world, trying to bring sense gratification within the grasp of my hand. I have often thought that by obtaining the objects of sense gratification, all my shortcomings will be fulfilled. I often attained different facets that were indeed very rare, but my own personal shortcomings were never mitigated. In this material world, I never had the association of very high class aristocratic persons. However, seeing their various deficiencies, I could not offer them praise. The most merciful Supreme Lord, Sri Gaurasundara, seeing me in such a lamentable condition at such a time of adversity, gave permission to his two dearmost devotees of Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji to grant their blessings to me. Because I was always intoxicated with the worldly, false ego, wanting again and again self appraisal, I deprived myself of my own real benefit. But because of the influence of my previous birth's activities in devotional service, I came into the association of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was the form of my spiritual well-wisher. My spiritual master, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, would go and visit Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and many times would reside with him. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, out of his compassion for other living entities, pointed out my spiritual master, Sri Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. Upon seeing my spiritual master, the extent of my worldly false ego diminished. I knew that all the other living entities who have taken the human form of life were also fallen and low like myself. But by gradually observing the spiritual character of my spiritual master, I realized that only a Vaishnava could reside in this material world and be of exemplary character. Just a pause here. Um, Krishna was telling the nature of the people in this material world is it's very hard to recognize him when he comes here. And he was also listing his incarnations. And part of his incarnation, Krishna says that even his devotees, who are his incarnations, says, are also not seen as spiritual. But here we are seeing Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur from the beginning, how much appreciation he has, for his own father Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and is for his spiritual master Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. He is really having such a vision. It's a small appreciation. Continuing.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, Mataji. Wanna
May I
read?
continue for some time?
Yeah.
You're able to hear me fine, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you, Prabhu. At Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's urging, the young man approached Srila Gaurakishore Das Babaji for initiation in the month of Magh of the year 1900. Srila Gaurakishore Das Babaji expressed reluctance to accept him, knowing Siddhanta Saraswati to be a great scholar. Finally, when Siddhanta Saraswati pleaded with him for initiation, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji replied, Mahaprabhu will be asked. If he gives permission, your desire will be fulfilled. On another day, Siddhanta Saraswati approached him again and asked, what was Mahaprabhu's order? Gaur Kishore Das Babaji replied, I forgot to ask. Krishna. The third time Babaji Maharaj was requested, he replied, I asked. I did not receive the command of Mahaprabhu. Siddhanta Saraswati then stood up, his heart breaking, and said, You, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Gaur Kishore, are both worshippers of Krishna, the crest jewel of debauchees. Therefore, why will you take mercy on someone dedicated to ordinary morality like me? In his pastimes as the exemplary teacher, Mahaprabhu has given instructions on the worship of Krishna, the crest jewel of debauchees. Therefore, why will he give the command to take mercy on me? But Karuna na hoile kandiya kandiya prana na rakhibe ara. If there is no mercy, weeping and weeping, I can sustain my life no more. If I do not receive your mercy, I do not see any need in holding on to life. After thus indicating his readiness to take his life, Siddhanta Saraswati began to cry. Wow. Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji's heart was melted to see this. So he told him to take bath in the Saraswati and then come back to him. At the time of initiation, he gave Siddhanta Saraswati the name Shri Vashabhanavi Devi Daita Das. This pastime bears a striking resemblance to the relationship between Narottama Das Thakur and Lokanath Goswami. Lokanath Goswami was also an extremely humble and renounced Paramahamsa who was reluctant to take any disciples, considering himself unqualified, but finally accepted Narottama Das Thakur as his only disciple. It shows how eager and determined one must be for the mercy of a pure devotee of Krishna.
Yeah, we don't even look for it now. I mean, at least.
This is just so, just so heart-touching. Being such an exalted devotee, Sanatan Prema Prabhu was sharing how, glorified he is at such young age. But just seeing this heart, understanding the need for Guru's shelter and the mercy and such eagerness, wow. In Puri, in 1898, Siddhanta Saraswati had accompanied his father to Kashi, Prayag, and Gaya, and had gathered many facts about all these holy places, which were later incorporated into his commentary on the Chaitanya Charitamrita called Anubhashya. In 1900, he published a book called Bange Samajikata, which described the origin, location, and philosophy of various societies, castes, and religions, and he expounded the clear superiority of Lord Chaitanya's doctrine of inconceivable simultaneous oneness and difference. In March, he accompanied Bhaktivinoda Thakur to Orissa, where they visited the temple of Shirchar Gopinath at Remuna, and also saw Bhubaneswar and Puri. While in Puri, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur decided to build a place for bhajan just near the samadhi of Srila Haridas Thakur. And so Siddhanta Saraswati stayed and served his father in various ways, assisting him in establishing his bhakti kuti by the sea. At that time, the Maharaja of Kashim Bazar was camped nearby, and he came regularly to hear from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Siddhanta Saraswati. Siddhanta Saraswati was giving regular classes from the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the presence of his father, and many listeners were assembling just to hear it. The famous Radha Raman Charan Das Babaji used to come at the time to hear the discourses. Later, relations with the Babaji were broken because of two deviations by him. He introduced the chanting of Bhajan Nitai Gaura Radhe Shyam Japa Hare Krishna Hare Rama. This was introduced with the idea of stopping the audible chanting of the Mahamantra. The first problem with this was that the concocted mantra had the faults of Siddhanta Virodha, an opposing conclusion, and Rasabhas, conflicting rasas. The second problem was that trying to suppress the audible vibration of the Mahamantra was against the desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as established by his activities and teaching, as well as by the teachings of the Goswamis. Rupa Goswami had written in the Prathama Chaitanyashtaka, text 5, Hare Krishna Yuchai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chants the Hare Krishna mantra in a loud voice. Therefore, Rupa Goswami, an eyewitness to the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and recipient of his full blessings and empowerment for establishing his mission, personally testifies here that Lord Chaitanya did not confine the Mahamantra to inaudible muttering, but loudly proclaimed it to all. Number 2, Radha Raman Charan Das Babaji also introduced the Sakhi Bheki doctrine by dressing his follower Sri Jayagopal Bhattacharya as Lalita Sakhi. This was against Mahaprabhu's teaching as well, as an ordinary jiva was being worshipped as though he were an expansion of Srimati Radharani. Both Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Siddhanta Saraswati instructed the Babaji to give up these fallacious practices, but he refused. Siddhanta Saraswati began to preach publicly and strongly against these misconceived teachings, proclaiming that the Mahamantra is for both japa and kirtan, and that kirtan is ultimately superior to japa. This created quite a controversy in Puri, with many taking the side of the Babaji out of misplaced sentiment and others siding with Siddhanta Saraswati. During this period, Siddhanta Saraswati was engaged in the compilation of a Vaishnava encyclopedia, which contained an explanation of Vaishnava terminology, brief biographies of great Vaishnavas, an introduction to the books of the Vaishnava Acharyas, a description of the Vaishnava Tirthas, the various conclusions of Vaishnava sects, etc. He called it Vaishnava Manjusha Samahriti, and it was later published in 4 volumes. A Vaishnava scholar commented on it by saying, "This work is only possible for a supramortal, a great personality like Prabhupada Srila Saraswati Thakur. Even if 25 to 30 scholars and 10 to 15 men taking the treasury of a king began the work, they would be unable to edit it." The work of compilation was begun in Puri and continued as Siddhanta Saraswati made his preaching rounds of his Mayapur Dham, Sri Jagannath Puri Dham, and Sri Braja Dham. He also studied the books of Srila Madhvacharya and Srila Ramanujacharya and published some of them in Bengali. He also published biographies of these and other Vaishnava saints in the Sajjana Toshani magazine of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He toured South India in 1904 and again in 1905, places like Tirupati, Srirangam, Singachal, Rajamahendri. Oh wow, Rajamahendri. Madras, Perambadur, Kanjivaram, Kumbakonam, and Madurai. While on tour, he collected all the information about the rites and rules of Vedic Tridanda Vaishnava Sannyas from a Ramanuja Tridandi Swami at Perambadur. Wherever he would go in his travels, he would lecture, write, and debate the learned Panditas of the day. He soon acquired such a reputation that his name would strike fear in the hearts of his philosophical adversaries. All bogus cults and sects were doomed in his presence. However, in Puri, Siddhanta Saraswati experienced such severe oppression and censure due to his preaching against rhyming, kirtan, and Sakhi Beki doctrine of the popular Radha Raman Charan Das Babaji that finally Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur instructed him to go and perform bhajan near the Yoga Pit, the birth site of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
You wanna say something, Mataji? Share something?
Yeah, it's very amazing, Prabhu. I'm appreciating the contrast of the personality or nature. In one sense, the previous section, we could see how deeply humble and meager he is in front of the spiritual master, and literally crying. And here he is as we hear the lion guru, he's displaying that like such a strong thing. And both of them are so beautiful. It's not that one is more important and the other is less important.
Mm.
And at such young age, what all he could accomplish, it really shows how amazing. Yeah, again, so much gratitude for being, having this opportunity to read and connect and
Mm.
appreciate deeply our relationship. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. It happens tomorrow is the Western calendar and 29th is the Eastern calendar. Marks his appearance day. Okay, anyone else want to take on reading? Okay. Nama Bhajana. In 1905, at the age of 31, he began his great vow, following the example of Namacharya Haridas Thakur, of chanting 3 lakhs of names, that is 192 rounds per day. He determined that at the rate of 300,000 names daily, it would take about 9 years to complete 1 billion names. He resided in a grass hut at the Yoga Pith for 4 years, and in February of 1909, he built a cottage near the Yoga Pith at Vrajapatana, town of Vraja, on the site of the house of Sri Chandrasekhar Acharya, the uncle of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this place is considered to be non-different from the banks of Radhakund. So there he remained, uninterruptedly executing his chanting. He strictly followed his vow and observed Chaturmasya, cooking rice which had been dried in the sun in ghee and then eating it from the floor in a manner of a cow. He would take rest lying on the ground, never using any pillow, and constantly chant and study the scriptures. Seeing his renunciation, his Gurudeva, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj said, I observe that the renunciation of Sri Rupa Raghunatha is manifest in my Prabhu. He used to address his disciple as my Prabhu. Such a nice blessing to receive from the spiritual master. In commenting on this period, Srila Prabhupada states, from childhood, he was a strict brahmachari, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and he underwent very severe penances for starting this movement, worldwide. That was his mission. So when the roof of his kutir became broken, rather than take time away from his chanting, he would simply use an umbrella when it rained and go on chanting. Sometimes he had to go to different places, but he continued very strictly and completed his vows. In 1906, Sri Rohini Kumar Ghosh, the nephew of Chandra Madhava Ghosh Mahashaya, former Justice of Calcutta High Court, had a wonderful dream and as a result approached Dan Saraswati for initiation. The boy had gone to stay with some balls from Guru and his consort, who he was instructed to address as mother and father. These persons were actually sinful rascals in the guise of devotees. Oh. But while he was in Mayapur, he had good fortune to hear from Siddhanta Saraswati for a long time. So he returned to the place of the ball and feeling ill, he lay down to rest. In a dream, the ball took the form of a tiger and the consort the form of tigress. They were about to devour the unfortunate lad who was trying his best to take shelter of Lord Gaurasundara. At that moment, Siddhanta Saraswati arrived on the scene, chased the tiger away, and began to lead him to Mayapur. So the boy awoke at daybreak and proceeded to Mayapur, where he heard discourses from Siddhanta Saraswati for several days. Finally, he begged for initiation from his savior, so feelingly that Siddhanta Saraswati took mercy on him. Prior to this, Siddhanta Saraswati had never given initiation to anyone. His character was such that he never regarded his disciples as his disciples, but he used to see them as being that which was received from the lotus feet of his Guru. He used to address them as Prabhu. In his address to Gaudiya Math, first Vyas Puja, He has addressed his disciples as my friends, rescuers from danger. He also wrote, if a Vaishnava do not do the work of a guru, then the spiritual Vaishnava lineage will stop. Again, if it does the work of guru, then it becomes a non-Vaishnava. Or if a guru thinks I'm guru, then the first U letter in the word guru disappears and the word becomes garu or cow. A real guru does not make disciples and thus remains a guru. Here we see Siddhanta Saraswati giving a very strong warning about entertaining the conception of overlordship of being the master of anyone. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada observed that when he offered obeisances to Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to return Dasosmi, I'm your servant. And in a lecture in 1973, on the occasion of Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur's disappearance day observance, Srila Prabhupada, in the same ecstatic mood, spoke, anyway, it is by his grace I was forced to give up my family life. And he brought me some way or other in preaching his gospel. So, this is a memorable day. What he desired, I'm trying a little bit, and you are all helping me. So, I have to thank you more. You're actually representatives of my Guru Maharaj. Because you're helping me in executing the order of my Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much. So, in the course of Siddhanta Saraswati's travel throughout India, he became much pained at the erroneous teaching of many pseudo sects and Sahajiya groups. There arose in his heart a burning desire to widely preach the true Siddhanta according to the desire of six Goswamis and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji ordinarily never allowed anyone to touch his feet, he had voluntarily placed his feet on the head of Siddhanta Saraswati and ordered him to preach extensively and advised him to preach the absolute truth and keep aside all other works. Siddhanta Saraswati said of this occasion, as, so on receiving just a touch of the lotus feet of my Sri Gurudev, I lost all sense of this external world. I do not know whether all transcendental agent equal to him in greatness has ever appeared in this world. How may those who are busy with the lust, anger, etc. of the world ever know him? I'm really appreciating the real spiritual conception of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I'm really connecting the dots to what Krishna is telling. I was also thinking on this Krishna is everywhere, but a person with the animal-like consciousness cannot see him. That's a verse that was going on in the Bhagavatam. But here we are seeing really a qualified person or a real spiritual person and his spiritual consciousness in terms of his guru and also the mode of service and so on. So nice. Next chapter, Vaishnavas and Brahmanas. In 1911, a great controversy arose over the relative positions of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Various caste Goswamis, members of different Smarta groups, etc., raised a huge agitation, and so a great conference was arranged in the Midnapur district of Bengal to settle the issues. Famous Pandits, scholars, and spiritual leaders from all over India were to attend. So the contentions of Karma Jada Smartas were, number one, even if a person appearing in a Sudra family is initiated by Pancharatrik initiation, according to the Vaishnava scripture rules, still he remains unfit to worship Salagram Sila. Anyone, number two, anyone not taking his birth in a Brahmana family, similarly born, cannot perform all the duties of a Brahmana. And even if he is an Uttamadhikari, he can never become an Acharya. So this was the Smarta's attempt to establish the seminal successions as as the legitimate and supreme spiritual authority. and to prove the inferiority of the Vaishnavas. They were incensed at Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's preaching in the line of Sanatana Goswami, which had gained increasing acceptance that anyone, regardless of birth, could become a Brahmana, and a Vaishnava was fit to offer Vedic, yeah, Brahmana and Vaishnava, and was fit to offer Vedic sacrifices, worship the deity, etc. Of course, this was a conflict with a long history. In the past, exalted Vaishnava acharyas who were born in the non-Brahmana families had initiated persons who were born in Brahmana families because it was understood by the Vaishnava acharyas that in the age of Kali, everyone is Sudra by birth. Qualification comes by training and temperament. Sri Shyamananda Prabhu had initiated Sri Rasikananda, although Shyamananda was not a seminal Brahmana. Narottam Das Thakur initiated two seminal Brahmanas, Ganganarayan Chakravarti and Sri Ramakrishna Bhattacharya. So, aside from the historical precedents, there were many scriptural evidences supporting this practice. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was invited to the conference, but he was bedridden at that time with rheumatism. Exasperated, he wrote out, "Is there no one manifest in the Vaishnava world who is capable of meeting with them and by the conclusions and original logic of the scriptures put an end to their lowly activities which are nothing but the frenzied dance of three material qualities?" At this, Siddhanta Saraswati then wrote an essay entitled Brahmana, O Vaishnavera Tartmya Vishayaka Siddhanta, the conclusion concerning the comparison of Brahmins and Vaishnavas. He then read it to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was so ecstatic when he heard the powerful logic and scriptural evidences put forward by his brilliant son that he sat up and proclaimed, Saraswati, truly, truly, Saraswati, truly, truly, is the Acharya son illuminating the face of the Vaishnava world. By the light of these judgments, the darkness of the karma jada smartas doctrine will certainly soon be dispelled. At 3 p.m. Hmm. At 3 p.m. on Friday, the 8th of September 1911, the meeting was to begin at Minnapur district at Baligai, Uddavapur. Siddhanta Saraswati set out from Calcutta accompanied by followers of Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur named Shriyukta Suresh Chandra Mukhopadhyay on September 6th. In attendance at the meeting were Sri Madhusudan Goswami from Radharamana, Vishwambarananda Deva Goswami from Srila Shamananda Prabhu's line, and a follower of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Sitanada Bhaktitirtha Mahashaya. All of them saw to it that Siddhanta Saraswati was received with all the honor of an Acharya. The Pandits of the Karmaja Matas were also present, as well as the descendants from various caste Goswami families who supported them. So, by everyone's consent, Vishwambarananda Deva Goswami accepted the chair of meeting. Siddhanta Saraswati then presented his paper to the huge assembly. The paper was divided into two sections, the Prakruta Jana section and the Harijana section. Initially, he began to recite the glories of the Brahmanas. The opposing Panditas were beside themselves with joy. They had no idea that there were so many verses glorifying Brahmanas, and they eagerly heard Siddhanta Saraswati speak. However, Siddhanta Saraswati then began to explain and define the Brahmana, the Vaishnava, the relationship between the two, the qualifications of a guru, etc. And then the opposition's joy quickly subsided. When no one could offer a strong argument in response, a huge uproar commenced. Some counter arguments were given, but Siddhanta Saraswati immediately refuted their contentions with searing logic. The meeting went on in this way for 3 days. Backing up Siddhanta Saraswati were Sri Masudan Goswami, Sarabhama Sri Yukta Ramananda Das Babaji, Sri Yukta Sitananda Bhaktitirtha Mahodaya. They all offered strong arguments that no matter what family a Vaishnava appears in, he is perfectly qualified to worship the Salagram Sila and recite the Vedas. On the final day, Siddhanta Saraswati was the concluding speaker. He spoke brilliantly with great vigor, an incredible rhetoric for 2 hours. When he finished, no one on the opposing party could say a word. There was simply no way to counter him. There was a huge uproar in acclaim of the brilliant Acharya. Thousands of people rushed forward to take the dust of his lotus feet. The guards pleaded with the people to remain peaceful and they would certainly have their desires fulfilled. So, taking Siddhanta Saraswati to a separate place, the guards forcefully took his feet and dunked them into a basin of water. The Acharya objected strongly, as it was principle not to allow anyone to touch his feet. And if anyone offered obeisances to him, he would immediately offer them obeisances in return. Yet the guards, desiring to protect him from the press of the crowd, took this action, adding a few buckets of water to the quantity and distributed to the crowd. In this way, the people felt satisfied and blessed, and they exhausted the entire supply in no time. Siddhanta Saraswati was thus acclaimed as the greatest hero of the conference. It's like a Rajasuya Yajna, no? Really establishing a supreme personality in the Rajasuya Yajna. There's this nice book, Brahman and Vaishnava book. Uh, I really like that book a lot. It is very nice book. There, the whole details of this presentation was there. How he really, how he really glorifies the Brahmanas and then brings out the glories of Vaishnavas, and then he bridges the gap so much so, like as we are hearing reading now, like the whole crowd runs after to take uh, the dust from his feet. Next chapter, Gauri Mantra. Later, in 1911, another controversy surfaced, challenging that the name Gaura in the Gayatri Mantra, chanted by Gaudiya Vaishnavas, was not an eternal name of Godhead, was not found in the original Vedas, and that Lord Chaitanya was not an incarnation of Godhead, but rather, by his own admission, a devotee of God. Although it is clearly established in the pages of Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya is the supreme personality of Godhead himself. There were some persons who did not believe that his position as an avatara was revealed in the original Vedas. Of course, one actual proof of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's divinity was the darshans he provided to a number of exalted devotees during the Mahaprakash manifestation in the home of Shiva Thakur, told to Lord Nityananda as a six-armed Vishnu form, and as Sadbhuj to Sarvam Bhattacharya, as Radha Krishna to Sri Ramananda Rai, and so on. But these proofs, along with many convincing verses, applied by Krishnadas Kaviraj and Vrindavan Das Thakur in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavata, respectively, were sufficient for reasonable men. But the more stubborn worldly scholars and critics wanted proof from the original Vedas. The smartest objected to the worship of the deity form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and claimed that the Gaura mantra was not an eternal Vedic mantra. Siddhanta Saraswati cited proof from the Shruti, particularly from the Chaitanya Upanishad from the Atharvaveda. Sohavacha rahasyam te vidishyami jahnavi tire navadvipe golakakya damni govindo dvibhujo gaura sarvatma mahapurusha mahatma mahatma mahayogi tribunatitaha sattarupo bhaktin loke kashyatiti tadete shloka bhavanti. Brahma said, I shall tell thee a secret. On the bank of the Janvi at Navadvipa, which is called Gologadama, shall Govinda, in a two-armed form, as Gaura, the great one, the great mystic, who is transcendental to the three modes of mental nature and whose form is eternal, reveal bhakti to the world. So there are a number of verses in that regard. So other evidences were cited from Shvetasutra Upanishad as well as the Smriti Tantras, Puranas, especially Srimad Bhagavatam. Siddhanta Saraswati addressed a large assembly at Navadvipa's Bada Akhanda Hall, where many erudite scholars had gathered, headed by Sri Masudan Goswami Sarvabhauma. He forcefully and brilliantly proved the eternality and glory of the name, form, attributes, etc. of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although Siddhanta Saraswati was a neophyte, Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji was there in one corner of the meeting. And when he heard Siddhanta Saraswati lecture, he was extremely pleased with him. All of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas who heard the discourse filled with bliss and began to chant Siddhanta Saraswati glories again and again, due in large measure to Siddhanta Saraswati's strong preaching on this point throughout his life, the deity form of Chaitanya the deity form of Sri Chaitanya. Mahaprabhu is now worshipped and accepted all over India as the eternal form of the Lord, and many thousands have received the Gaura Mantra with great faith and for eternal benefit. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, commented on Siddhanta Saraswati's strong preaching against the caste Goswamis and Smartas as follows. My Guru Maharaj's contribution is that he defeated the caste Goswami. He defeated this Brahmanism. He did it the same way as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Kiva Vipra Kivanyasi Sudra Kena Naya Krishna Tattva Veda Se Guru Hai. There is no consideration whether one is a sannyasi, a brahmana, a sudra, or a grihastha. No. Anyone who knows the science of Krishna is all right. He is Goswami and he is a brahmana. This was my Guru Maharaj's contribution. And for this reason, he had to face so many vehement protests from these brahmanas of the caste Goswamis. Once, they conspired to kill him. My Guru Maharaj told me personally. By his grace, when we used to meet alone, he used to talk about so many things. He was so kind that he used to talk with me. And he personally told me that these people, they wanted to kill me. So they collected 25,000 rupees and went to bribe the police officer in charge of the area, saying, you take this 25,000 rupees, we shall do something against Bhaktivedanta Saraswati, and you don't take any steps. He could understand that they wanted to kill him. So the police officer frankly came to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Of course, we accept bribes and we indulge in such things, but not for a sadhu, not for a saintly person. I cannot dare. So the police officer refused and said to my Guru Maharaj, you take care. This is the position. So this was because he was so vehemently protested. When my Guru Maharaj was present, even big scholars were afraid to talk with even his beginning students. My Guru Maharaj was called living encyclopedia. He could talk with anyone on any subject. He was so learned and no compromise. So-called saints, avataras, yogis, everyone who was false was an enemy to my Guru Maharaj. He never compromised. Some God brothers complained that this preaching was a chopping technique and it would not be successful. But those who criticized him fell down. In March of 1912, Siddhanta Saraswati was invited by Maharaja Manindra Chandra Nandi Bahadur to come to his Kasima Bajar palace to give some lectures about Krishna. Although Siddhanta Saraswati was there for 4 days, he was prevented from glorifying the Lord, except on one short occasion by envious Prakrit Sahajiya, who were afraid that if the king heard Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they would lose their positions. Therefore, Siddhanta Saraswati refused to eat any of the foodstuffs sent for him by the king on a golden plate. He took only one tulsi leaf as he considered that the atmosphere was contaminated by the materialistic envious behavior of the Sahajiyas, and that he could not render service to the Maharaja by glorifying Krishna before him. Then he would not take his foodstuff. Thus he remained fasting from the 21st to the 24th of the March. On the fifth day, he got an opportunity to eat the food of the king. To speak for about 5 minutes, shouted down. Then he decided to leave. The Maharaja had been wrongly informed by the Sahajiyas that Siddhanta Saraswat Thakur had refused his food, accusing the king of being the Thili caste, low caste. Yet he sorrowfully met Siddhanta Saraswati at the railway station and asked him to explain why he had fasted and why he was leaving. Siddhanta Saraswati then told the king, I did not get any opportunity to glorify to you the message of the absolute truth according to Srimad Bhagavatam. So how shall I accept your things? Apart from that, the Lord does not accept the offering offered objects of Pujari who is blind to the knowledge of the absolute truth. For that reason, it is not prasad. He then left by train at 11 p.m., uh, arrived at Dubulia, getting down at 2:30 in the morning, and then walked 5 miles to Rajapatana, Mayapur, where he cooked and honored prasad. This incident serves as a brilliant example of the principle and the staunch behavior of Vaishnava Acharya must exhibit. In November of 1912, Siddhanta Saraswati went on tour with some other devotees to see some of the places visited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates like Srikhanda, Jajigram, Katwa, Jamatpur, Akaihat, Chakandi, Daihat, etc. While visiting those places, he preached pure devotion service unceasingly. Although Siddhanta Saraswati was constantly immersed in chanting the holy name, at first at the Yogipith in Mayapur and then later at Vajapatana, the site of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Vajalila dramas, he was always considering how to preach. After Rohini Kumar Ghosh had had his amazing dream earlier on and taken initiation, two other boys approached Siddhanta Saraswati and were initiated in 1913 and were called Vaishnava Dasa and Paramananda Vidyaratna. On the 6th of February 1913, Siddhanta Saraswati rented a large house for 36 rupees a month at number 4 Sanagar Lane in the Kalighat section of Calcutta. There, he established the Bhagavata printing press, the Bhagavata Yantra, so that he could begin to publish the important literature of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. He called the press Bruhat Mridanga, explaining that an ordinary Kirtan party could be heard only a few blocks, but this Mridanga could be heard far and wide. He wanted to print the second edition of Chaitanya Charitamrita with the Amrita Pravaha Bhashya by Bhaktivinoda Thakur and his own Anubhashya, as well as the Srimad Bhagavatam and other books. The Bhagavad Gita with the Sarartha Bhashani commentary of Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, the Rasika Ranjan commentary by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and the great poem Sri Gaura Krishna Daya by Govinda Dosa were also printed. The press was moved to Rajapatana in 1914 and later in 1915 it was moved to Krishna Nagar. Please take the chance to read. Um, so again, from the section what I read, a lot of gratitude because if Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had not established about Lord Chaitanya and the divinity of Lord Chaitanya, um, I doubt we would be um, enjoying all the opulences given by ISKCON. Um, and yeah, and it must have, even if there is something available, it must have been a very controversial and way, like, um, it will be like in a way, troublesome. So fortunately, Krishna has sent Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and he cleared up those paths, those obstacles. And now, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we are we have access to all the opulences freely, actually abundantly, actually not just freely. So gratitude to our acharyas. Anyone can take on reading for next 10-15 minutes, and then I can go. Okay, nobody unmuted. I'll continue. So the
I can
disappearance.
read for a little bit, Prabhu, until someone else is ready. If you need to go.
Okay, Mataji, yeah. If we can go ahead.
Yeah. The disappearance past tense of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. On June 22nd in 1914, at the Bhakti Bhavan in Calcutta, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur performed his pastime of disappearance. His samadhi was established at Sri Swananda Sukhada Kunj on December 27, 1914. At this time, Siddhanta Saraswati took up the work of publishing the Sajjanatoshani and the other books which had been left unpublished by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. On November 17, 1915, Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj left the mortal world on the Uttana Ekadashi. A terrible situation was created at this juncture by various heads of matas who wanted to have the samadhi of Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji as a means of fundraising for their own sense gratification. A first-hand account of this incident was given in a biographical work about Siddhanta Saraswati called Saraswati Jayashri. After the departure of Babaji Maharaj, there were many types of opinions and disturbances over who would give his samadhi. Hira Lal Goswami and a few other people sent Padmanabh Brahmachari, alias Krishna Chaitanya Das, to Sridham Mayapur to fetch Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They also told me to go with him. Crossing over the river by Kulia's ferry boat, I saw Prabhupada coming with bare feet and covered by a green chadar. This is not Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur speaking, right? It's someone else
It was
speaking.
an
Yeah.
account. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
About
Yeah.
Bhakti
Crossing over.
Saraswati.
Ah,
Yeah.
right. Biographical work. Yeah. I thought like himself is speaking on. Okay. Crossing over the river by Kulia's ferry boat, I saw Prabhupada coming with bare feet and covered by a green chadar. With him was Sri Yukta Paramananda Brahmachari. It was then the period of Chaturmasya. Prabhupada's hair and beard were long. Seeing him, I prostrated in respect and told him in detail of the situation. After crossing the river by ferry boat, Prabhupada arrived at the Rani Dharmashala. Srila Babaji Maharaj used to stay there. Various heads of Navadvip's Vaishnava gathering places had begun to argue amongst themselves over taking Srila Babaji Maharaj's spiritually blissful body, and they had begun to rise in order to give the samadhi. The reason being that in the future, the samadhi of such a perfect great person could be used as an instrument to raise monetary income. Srila Prabhupada resisted such illegitimate attempts of theirs. In apprehension of a breach of peace, Navadvip's inspector of police was then present at that place. The detective department's commissioner Rai Bahadur Yatindranath Sinha Mahashaya was then Navadvip's inspector of police. After much controversy, the Babaji said Saraswati Thakur is not a sannyasi. Therefore, he does not have the eligibility to give the samadhi for a person who has renounced his home. In reply to that, Prabhupada said in a loud voice like thunder, I am the only disciple of Paramahamsa Babaji Maharaj. Even though I have not accepted sannyas, I am a celibate brahmachari and by the grace of Babaji Maharaj. I'm not secretly addicted to abominable habits or involved in fornication as some monkey-like people are. If there is someone amongst the people present who is the renunciate of truly stainless character, who's the renunciate of truly stainless character, then he can give Babaji Maharaj a samadhi. We have no objection to that. He who, within the last 1 year or the last 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, or at least within the last 3 days, has not had any illicit contact with a woman, will be able to touch the spiritually blissful body. If anyone else touches it, he will be completely ruined. Krishna. Hearing these words, the inspector of police said, How will evidence be had for this? Prabhupada said, I will have faith in their word. We became amazed at seeing them all after Prabhupada's words. The people present wearing the attire of Babaji's, oh wow, one by one turned their backs. The inspector of police was speechless. Then, according to Srila Prabhupada's instructions, we had the good fortune to carry the spiritually blissful body of Paramahamsa Babaji Maharaj, which was lying on the ground. Some people gave advice to us. When Babaji Maharaj was manifest, he said that his body should be dragged to the streets of Sridham Navadvip so that it may be bathed in the dust of this holy land. It is befitting to observe the command of Babaji Maharaj. Prabhupada then said, although we are fools, inexperienced, and offenders, we will still not be disinclined to understand the true meaning of those humility filled words which were spoken by my Gurudev in order to destroy the pride of worldly minded people. For even Krishna Chandra personally thinks himself to be successful if he carries my Sri Gurudev on his head or shoulders. After the departure of Thakura Haridas, Sri Gaurasundara took the spiritually blissful body of the Thakur on his lap and danced. What dignity he adorned it with! Therefore, following in the footsteps of Sriman Mahaprabhu, we shall also bear Babaji Maharaj's spiritually blissful body on our heads. Wow. Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was placed in Samadhi on the 17th of November 1915. 16 years later, due to flooding, it had to be moved, and there was a great clamor over who would claim the Samadhi and give it a new location. Srila Saraswati Thakur commented that those who were most sincere would be successful in locating the Samadhi, and his disciples were able to do so, moving the whole Samadhi intact in a boat accompanied by Sankirtan from Navadvip to Mayapur, where a beautiful Samadhi was built at Rajapatana near the Radhakund. In 1914, Radhakund, there is a Radhakund in Mayapur, Prabhu?
That's what I mean. That place is almost it was mentioned earlier. That place is almost called as Radhakund.
Nice. In 1914,
It's
Kunja
like
Bihari.
it's
Yeah, sorry.
yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, sorry, Prabhu, you were saying something.
No, it's like a replica kind of.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's nice.
It was
In
mentioned earlier.
1914, Kunja Bihari Vidyabhushan, who later took sannyas and was named Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj, had come to Mayapur and heard from Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj on the verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama. The Babaji then instructed him to hear from Sri Guru Siddhanta Saraswati. He then heard from Siddhanta Saraswati on the verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev, and was so much impressed that he gave up all aversion he had formerly maintained against Vaishnavas and determined to hear Siddhanta Saraswati seriously. He was afflicted with many of the common misconceptions of the day about the nature of sadhus and was on occasion upset by Siddhanta Saraswati's strong language about such persons, but finally was fully convinced. He came again, having secured 2 months' leave from his job at the Calcutta post office, and arrived on the day that Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji entered the eternal pastimes of the Lord in Koladvip on the Uttana Ekadashi, November 19, 1915. After some days of hearing, Kunja Bihari asked for initiation and was then inspired to propose to Saraswati Thakur that he make arrangements for him to stay in Calcutta and give discourses so that thousands of persons could be benefited. While engaged in his bhajan at Rajapatana, Saraswati Thakur had often considered how he would execute the preaching work that was desired of him by both of his spiritual guides, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It was especially weighing heavily upon him after their departure. He was feeling their separation keenly, living the words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that aside from separation from a devotee of Krishna, there is no other suffering. He humbly considered at that time, how shall I preach to the world the pure message of Sri Chaitanya and establish the heart's desire of my gurus? I have no support of people, no support of wealth, and I do not have any learning or intelligence which can attract the common people. Wow. The same mood that Srila Prabhupada had. I neither have bhakti nor Vedanta. Wow, what a profound humility. Wow. He took rest that night, and at that time he saw in a visionary trance the Panchatattva and their Sankirtan associates entering from the east into the Natya Mandira of the temple of Sri Yogapith, the site of Lord Chaitanya's appearance, their effulgence lighting up the whole scene. With them were Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, and other previous acharyas. They gave him many assurances and told him, "Don't you worry at all." With supreme enthusiasm, preach the conclusion of pure devotion. In intense earnestness, chant the glories of the name, abode, form, attributes, associates, and pastimes of Godhead at various places. All of us will help you. There is no need to worry. The support of unlimited people, countless wealth, and boundless learning await the blessing of being engaged in the service of your preaching. They will be received when they are necessary. No type of worldly hindrance or danger will be able to make any obstruction for this great work of yours. We are always with you. Wow, very beautiful.
Yeah, you wanna say something, Mataji?
Yeah, it's that particular incident for Samadhi. In one sense, we may see that as a kind of a pride display, but it's about the deep conviction. In an ordinary sense, devotees may not speak out about, their own sadhana, about how pure they are. But here he is, for that purpose of uh, maintaining that sanctity and that purity of his spiritual master's body, and for doing that samadhi in a proper way, he is ready to do that. I mean, it's just so amazing. And what I also was so touched by is uh, all the people were like, just they couldn't speak anything, as the police officer was saying. So when the devotee with such purity speaks, I think even people, they can kind of cheat and say whatever and do, but I think they were really touched by his words, the power of the purity. It's really so amazing for me, that particular incident.
They're accepting their own defeat.
Right. Yeah, even this last paragraph about, intensely praying, that's, we see that Srila Prabhupada's mood. It's not that, in one sense, he is totally established. I mean, even as a scholar, intelligence, bhakti, purity, everything. But still, that mood of intense dependence and eagerness, that's just so amazing. It's coming out so clearly and vividly.
We
Very,
should also
very
come to
inspiring.
some projects now, Mataji.
I know. Yeah, very inspiring, Prabhu.
All the opulences, all the what is it? All the wealth, everything needed will be sent.
Yeah, yeah, such blessing. Answer to such intense prayer. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Mataji. So we are in the last half an hour. We will read for another 15-20 minutes. And at that point, usually I really request everyone on the call to say something, you know, then it will be really nice glorification and appreciation, and it's very really helpful for our hearts. So that's the agenda for the next 25 minutes. Anyone ready to read? Want to read? Not ready for have to. Okay. Next chapter, Sannyasa. With this spectacular vision in mind as his impetus, and at the urging of his disciples, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur thought the time had come for widespread preaching. Up until 1918, Siddhanta Saraswati is mainly immersed in chanting and publishing books. In the Vrajapatana, Mayapur, on the full moon day of Palguna, the 29th of March 1918, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur took sannyas and took the name Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj at the age of 44. According to Vedic rites, which he had gathered from the Ramanujas in his travels. He took initiation from the picture of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Taking sannyas from picture was certainly not a standard practice of the Ramanujas. The situation, however, was unique. Srila Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had no spiritual master who was physically present, and he had no god brothers, being the only disciple of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. He was furthermore a selfless soul, and there is no doubt that he took sannyasa to fulfill the innermost desires of his spiritual master, who had both ordered him to preach. This practice was never meant to be imitated by others in much less unique and less qualified positions. So he wanted to establish a mission that would take the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was beginning his preaching effort towards the end of the First World War, in which many Indian nationalists had taken part on the side of the British, thinking that this might encourage the British to consider their desires for independence. Hmm. You know, this was not to be. In 1919, the British passed the Rowlatt Act to repress the move for Indian freedom, and 1 week later in Amritsar, in the square called Jallianwala Bagh, British soldiers shot and killed hundreds of unarmed, peaceful Indian protesters. When this non-cooperation movement gained momentum, nationalistic uh, nationalistic fervor was at its height. It was in the atmosphere of British rule and nationalistic ferment, a time of revolution, that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur began his preaching. But as Srila Prabhupada learned in his meetings with the great saintly person in 1922, this is in 1922, this initiation was 1918. Okay, 4 years. Okay. Uh, but as Srila Prabhupada learned in his meeting with the great saintly person in 1922, it was not a nationalistic revolution that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was interested in igniting, but rather the spiritual lives of humanity at large, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo yasmin pratislokam abadvati api namani anantasya yasonkitanya shrunvanti gayanti grunanti sadhavaha. On the other hand, that literature, which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a different creation, a full of transcendental words directed toward bringing about revolution in impious lives of the world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literature, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. So he wanted to affect the upliftment of the mankind throughout the world to the eternal spiritual platform of Krishna consciousness. And strife, sectarianism, social discord, etc. were resolved forever. The means for the teachings of the liberated sages in the form of transcendental books, he aimed to propagate the great sense of self-realization far and wide. Traditionally, the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, beginning with the Goswamis of Vrindavan, had accepted the Babaji Vesha dress. According to the tradition, one does not accept a Brahmana's thread or gives it up if he has accepted one, and does not carry a danda. One wears only a shirt, white wrapper, and a top piece. The idea is that when one has reached the liberated platform, he rids himself of any item of dress or similar varnashrama dharma, activities within the modes of nature, of which the sacred thread and sannyas ashram are perceived as part, and makes his only business the chanting of the holy name in the mood of Bhajananandi. This is considered the final transcendental stage of Paramahamsa Vaishnava. This had been the convention since the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So some persons also thought that to maintain sacred thread and to accept Ridhan Sannyasa were practices opposed to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching on the principle of humility, Trinadapi Sunicam. However, this is a fallacious view. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had explained it in the following light. If the sacred thread is not taken at the time of initiation, this constitutes contempt for the process of initiation. The thread is not to signify Brahminical pride that I am meant to be served by everyone, but rather it is a sign that one has been purified by the lotus feet of a guru. The thread is meant to indicate eternal service to the Lord, not egoism. And as far as accepting sannyas is concerned, this is for increasing one's service mode to serve the Lord with one's mind, body, and words. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught this when he took sannyasa by chanting the verse of Avanti Brahmana who took Tridanda sannyas, and which is described in Bhagavatam 11:23-56. हेतं स आस्ताय परात्मनिस्ताम् अध्यासितं पूर्वतात्मैर्महर्षिभिः अहं तरिष्यामि दुरन्तपारं तमो मुकुन्दाङ्घ्रिनिषेव एव. I shall cross over the insurmountable ocean of nations by being firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of Krishna. This was approved by the previous acharyas who were fixed in the firm devotion to the Lord, the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the characteristics of a Goswami are described by Rupa Goswami in the first verse of Shopadeshamrita. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jihva vegam, udarapastha vegam, etan vegan yo vishaheta diraha, sarvam apimam prithivim sasishya. A sober person who can tolerate the urges to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj wanted to show an example to persons of the world from within the parameters of the Varnashram system. The Varnashrama, or the practice of executing the principles of Varnashram Dharma by those who simultaneously practice and preach the practice of sadhana bhakti, was also much extolled by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in his teaching, and was especially discussed by him in his Chaitanya Sikshamrita. Therefore, to set a personal example of how the preacher who comes to Madhyamadikari platform for his preaching work also follows the principles of Varnashrama for the sake of showing an example to his followers. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj took sannyas. He also wanted to show by this action that he was actually taking a humble position below his two gurus, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, who had both accepted the Parahamsa's Vesha. At that time, many Sanskritifiers and bogus sannyasis were wearing Babaji dress, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted to exhibit by personal example just how exalted such personality should be if they want to wear the same dress as Rupa Goswami, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gaur Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, and other exalted eternal associates of the Lord. So, with a view to exhibit the activities of Goshti Ananda, a preacher, he accepted the dress of sannyasi. For his preaching work, Sri Saraswati Thakur wisely chose to accept sannyasa as people in India naturally show respect to sannyasis. And this was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's motive as well, to save and attract persons who would have otherwise criticized him or not taken him seriously. There were also further precedent in our line for this action as Sri Prabodhananda Saraswati, author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Navadeepa Satakam, Vrindavan Shatakam, Radha Rashauda Nidhi, and many other Vaishnava works, also accepted Tridanda Sannyas. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, also explains his commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam verse about the Avanti Sannyasi in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 6 3.6 that the most intimate devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, namely Gadadhar Pandit, accepted the Tridanda Sannyas and also accepted Madhava Upadhyaya as his Tridandi Sannyasi disciple. It is said that from this Madhavacharya, the Sampradaya known in Western India as the Vallabhacharya Sampradaya has begun. Sri Gopal Bhatt Boshe, who is known as Smriti Acharya in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, later accepted the Tridandi Sannyasa order from Tridandipada Prabodhananda Saraswati. Thus, with historical, thus, with a solid historical precedent, a move to preach widely, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur On the same day as he accepted sannyasa, he established a temple at Rajapatana called Chaitanya Math and installed the deities Guru Gauranga and Gandharvika Giridhari. He began to preach in the immediate locality in the Krishnanagar, Daladpur, etc. In June, he left Calcutta with a group of 23 devotees for Jagannath Puri and visited Sauri, Kumara, etc. on the way and saw Gopinatha at Rimuna. At Balasur, he lectured on the Siksastika and he also gave discourse in Cuttack and Puri. While in a forested area in Alalnath near Jagannath Puri, Srila Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur entered a state of deep ecstasy and trance, Lamba, having realized the non-difference of this forest and the forest of Vrindavana, and lost his external awareness of the world. When he came back to external consciousness alone in the woods, he could not determine where he was. Meanwhile, his followers, who had originally assumed that he had gone to the forest to answer the call of nature, became worried about him and began to search for him everywhere. Finally, they found him and led him out. As he traveled to the various sites of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, Srila Saraswati Thakur was overwhelmed on several occasions in terms of ecstasy and would always cite and chant the appropriate verses from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita to commemorate the mood and activities of the Lord in those sites. During this tour, Srila Saraswati Thakur and his followers were returning from a darshan of Sakshi Gopala. He noticed that his householder followers refused to give alms to some poor people who were requesting help. He then sarcastically described their attitude as money should not be given to poor distressed people. If it is given, it will be karma kanda. So, Srila Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was satirizing the attitude of his disciples who were thinking that it was beneath them as transcendental Vaishnavas to give charity to the poor, as though this were a continuing activity within the realm of karmic activity. He stated that this type of consideration by householders expresses miserliness, mercilessness, and a lack of affliction at others' distress. From this attitude, the heart becomes hard and attacked with niggardliness, and as a result, the tendency to spend money even for Vishnu service, which is a means of one's own interest, disappears. Therefore, offense in service, evaparad, is invited. In order to guard against all this hypocritical sinful deliberation, Sri Gaurasundara in his pastimes used to give help to lowly distressed people. Even earned wealth is obtained by the mercy of God. It is not the incorrect use of wealth. If some portion of mercy is given to requesting poor people, uh, it, it is its proper use. But mercy, prasada, is a compulsory duty of householder Vaishnava. Even though their poor people's miserableness has been obtained through the fault of their own karma, they are still God's people. Therefore, to give them help is a compulsory duty of well-to-do people. However, to think of them as Narayana is blindness to truth, and that a terrible spiritual offense. So, while reading this paragraph, I was thinking we all should open a center, preaching center at every corner. That's a great miss we are having in Naperville. We really don't have uh, what is that, the small preaching centers around. Um, so, uh, like many people um, are actually getting bereft of the next step to Krishna. Um, so hopefully by the mercy of Shri Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, may there be lot of Bhakti Rukshas in Naperville. Not only to the Indian, of course, it's missing for Indian crowd also, for everyone else also. It will be nice to have that, small centers around so that people uh, can connect easily and take the next step of coming to the temple and further steps. Any case, those are my small thoughts. Now we are coming to our favorite session. Everybody should say something. Please say something. Final thoughts. We have 10 more minutes to go, and we'll come back tomorrow with spiritual organization, the ISKCON, and the Gaudiya Math. Vishwa Vaishnava Rajya Sabha. We will go with order. Amrit Mata, you are in the first.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu. Thank you. I already was kind of sharing. Very happy. I just somehow randomly saw the message. It's Ekadashi morning here in India, and I'm
Also,
feeling,
today is Ekadasi?
yeah,
Oh,
here
that's
in
so
India.
good.
So
Okay, here is
I'm
Ekadasi.
feeling,
Okay. Hmm.
yeah, so super excited and surcharged, hearing about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and also, it's giving a glimpse into his heart and his mood. That's really amazing. And I'm also coming to this realization of being in the association. We keep talking, right, how powerful is the association of
Yeah,
these very elevated devotees.
yeah,
And it's not even the physical presence, but
yeah,
as we are reading, I feel like we are there with him.
yeah.
And seeing that the power is actually entering the heart, and whatever all the other unwanted stuff is getting cleared. So feeling very, very grateful. Thank you for
Really blessed
organizing
we
this.
are, actually. This personalities really like, coming in touch. Their association is really like, hmm, very
Yeah, I was
fortunate.
telling Freeman and Mataji, it's not like, just a one day thing or something. Of course, it's not that just 150 years we celebrate and then forget about it. But
Uh,
at least take this as an excuse for us to,
uh,
read about them and take them into our heart a little more deeply. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for supporting. It is helpful to have supporters. Otherwise, it will be like, overwhelming. Yeah. Then the next is Manju's iPhone. I don't know who is Manju. Uh, who is that, Mataji? Can you say, could you please say something? Anything, there is no restriction. This thing or that thing, just say something, that's all. Okay, we will go next. Michael's iPhone. Michael Prabhu. Okay, next we have Sanatan Prevan Varshana Mataji. Please bless some pearls of your nectarian thoughts, Mataji and Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, go, please.
Mataji is not unmuting. Please go ahead, Prabhu. We will ask her after you.
Miss, I was thinking about what austerity, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, of course, Sri Prabhupada,
Mm.
and Kisodas Babaji, they all went through. They were so exalted devotee, means they were special soul, sent by Krishna to
Yeah.
help for fallen soul like us. But still, they went through so much difficult time
Mm.
from their family, from their friends, from their god brothers, you name
Mm.
it, But still,
Mm.
and compared to them, I can only compare to myself. I have not had any of this so difficult in my life. But but still,
I
Mita
usually say
Linga.
ISKCON people are really, what is it? They're really pampered.
Yeah, yeah. And still can't do even little bit of what they are instructing us to do. So it's always
No,
amazes me and
that's fine. I mean,
inspire
we are
and
taking
inspire.
association. Yeah,
But
it
it's so
will
much
happen then.
inspiring that that we are so much. It means it's only because of their blessing and mercy that we are living such a wonderful life. Uh,
Yeah,
and hopefully
yeah,
I can do my portion, my contribute in whatever way I can. That's what thought is coming to my mind after
yeah.
hearing all the pastime of Sri Bhakti Saraswati Thakur for today.
For sure, when we are open like that, Prabhu, for sure they will make us their instruments and they will, manifest their further mercy through us. So that's their power.
Yes, yes, Prabhu, definitely. I'm sure they will. Hopefully,
Of
they will.
course, you're already doing a lot, but they will do much more magics also. Mhm. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. And then
Thank you.
Varshini Mataji. Yeah, anyway, can unmute and bless us.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All
Hare
glory
Krishna
to Srila
Mataji. Please
Prabhupada.
accept my Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Sorry, I was moving outside, so I couldn't read.
Ah,
Uh, but very feeling very grateful to you all for reading, and so I could at least hear, even though passively.
ah,
Few things that stood out was, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is such a, he's not a unidimensional personality. Like, we say we should never predicate a spiritual master. You cannot predict him, he's not one dimensional personality. On the one hand, so humble,
mm,
ready to give his life when Gaur Kishore Das Babaji wasn't giving him initiation, and like Amrita Kelly Mataji was saying, on the other
mm,
hand, this Guru. Then on the other
mm,
hand, fearless,
mm.
when his life was threatened. And then on the other hand, not just, it's not a brash kind of a fearlessness, but
Yeah.
very erudite too,
Mm,
that those verses where people often say, right, okay, where do you see Lord Chaitanya mentioned in the scriptures, and you read
yeah.
about it, the Chaitanya Upanishad. So erudite scholar,
Mm,
uh, he shows by his example, by his chanting of those names, sitting under the umbrella, such a steadfast sadhaka, I mean, of course, he's not a sadhaka, but
mm.
showing that aspect of him.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, so just very, very multi-dimensional. You cannot put such devotees in a box and say devotees have to be like this.
Yeah.
You know, uh, he is like a once in a generational kind of a personality.
Mm,
Amongst the millions of stars, there is one moon. So he's one
yeah.
such personality. Just yeah, you know, I can't even say I can follow in his footsteps. Just so far behind. He's up there. But yes, like you all shared, where will we be if he didn't take on the Saki Bekis and but yeah, so all of those deviations.
Yeah.
Uh, so much more to say, but very grateful to you also for taking up this service to encourage us. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Your blessings. Chintamani Mataji, you joined at the right time. Please close the call with your sharings.
Oh, I was in the temple for evening service and I missed the whole reading. Is it
Oh,
recorded?
that's fine. It's on the YouTube.
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, just thank you.
Okay.
And I hope from tomorrow that I'll be able to join.
Thank you,
Please, with
Mataji.
Srila Prabhupada's mercy.
Yeah. All thanks to Premananda Mataji. She was the one asked for it. So let's have a celebration, meditation celebration. Um, yeah, and everything. And tomorrow happened to be by Western calendar his appearance day. And also, actually, tomorrow is also Premananda Mataji's birthday, also tomorrow. And then 29th is his calendar appearance day. Okay, we'll come back at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Hare Krishna, thank you all so much for your presence and, for this support. Hare Krishna.